All right, good stuff. We're excited to be joined now via our video hotline by Paul Moya, member of the Notre Dame class of 2012. Paul, a very accomplished individual. He is the CEO of Millennial Labs, company that he started after earning his undergrad degree from Notre Dame and his graduate degree from Harvard. And if that wasn't enough, Paul is currently a candidate for the state of Mexico's 1st District of the U.S. House of Representatives. Paul, first of all, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you, Vic, for having me. It's a huge honor, and I'm glad to be a part of this.
Understand that you grew up on an alfalfa farm in central New Mexico. How did that shape your life?
Well, you know, the farm shaped every element of who I am today. I tell people it was growing up on that farm where I learned that you shake somebody's hand, you look them in the eye, you give them your word, and you keep it, because without integrity, nothing else mattered. I learned that there's no quitting when you're up and it's 2 a.m. and you're pulling a calf, knowing that whether or not that calf makes it through the night impacts your family's ability to put food on the table and provide for the community around you. And so that farm shaped me in countless ways. And I think it really was the foundation of my entire life and who I am today. It not only shaped my work ethic and my values, but it really gave me a great understanding of that lifestyle. And I think it was a tremendous path that led me to Notre Dame, and one that I wouldn't change for anything in the world.
Yeah, and you had a lot of options beyond Notre Dame. You could have gone to other schools, including Cornell, Brown, UC Berkeley. Why Notre Dame?
You know, for me, I grew up in a very traditional Catholic family, and so Notre Dame had always been a part of our lives, and I grew up watching Notre Dame football. But it was really when I was at the beginning of my senior year of high school, and I had a teacher that encouraged me to apply to Notre Dame, and looking at the business school, the top-ranked business school in the country, Mendoza School of Business. And so I looked at it, and I really felt a huge draw, but it was when I went to go visit. When I stepped foot on campus, I tell people later on that I was there in April, and the grass was green, and the sun was shining off the dome, and one of the leaders from the admissions department told me, you know, Paul, if you come here, there's one thing you should know. It gets a little bit colder in the winters. It's a little bit colder than New Mexico, but it was about 10 degrees colder than New Mexico in April. And I thought, oh, it'll be all right. And, I look back later and laugh and tell them that was the understatement of the century. But it was just such a special place that day, and walking in the basilica and just seeing the tradition and the beauty. And I knew in my heart that it was a place that would shape me for the rest of my life. And in fact, I received a call from another university while I was on campus that first evening that I had received a big scholarship, and I graciously thanked them and let them know right then and there on the call that I would ask them to pass it on to the next person in line, because I was going to be attending Notre Dame. And so it was just, I felt, you know, that welcome packet that you get when you get accepted to Notre Dame, that large envelope that says welcome home. And it was, you don't know what that means when you just see it in a packet, but when you arrive on campus and you recognize that you're part of a much bigger family, a family that includes and comes with tremendous blessings, and at the same time, being part of a family that also requires great responsibility.
You had a unique twist. After your first year at Notre Dame, Paul, you took a 1-year leave of absence. Can you tell us what you did during that year?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, at the beginning of my second year at Notre Dame, actually in October of that first semester of second year, I was elected as national president of the National FFA organization. And some of you may know this or may have heard of it, but the National FFA organization was started in 1928 by 33 farm boys. It was called the Future Farmers of America. And in the late 80s, they recognized that rural towns weren't popping up across the country anymore. And so the model evolved, and it became the National FFA organization, which today, at about 660,000 students, is the largest student youth leadership organization in the country. And so every year they elect 6 national officers who are college students who all take a year leave of absence. And during that year, I traveled about 120,000 miles, spent 340 nights in hotels that year. And I had the chance to not only represent the more than 500,000 members, but I spent a lot of time at the Department of Education and Department of Agriculture in Capitol Hill, working to help shape the future of education and the future of agriculture in this country. And then on top of that, the six of us were the face of the organization, the liaison to about 2,500 corporate sponsors. So to be able to sit down with CEOs of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 organizations at 20, 21 years old and have the type of conversations that we had was a tremendous blessing and one that also shaped me in critically important ways.
And here you are today, the proud owner of Millennial Labs. Can you tell us what you do there?
Yeah, so Millennial Labs is a consulting firm that I started actually during when I was getting my master's degree at Harvard. And if you know anything about New Mexico, you know that over the years, New Mexico hasn't had the most robust economy. And when I was finishing up my time at Harvard, I recognized that I had job offers from New York to LA and London to Hong Kong, but the place that I wanted a job most was a place that few people were hiring in at the time, and that was in central New Mexico. And so I recognized that while I may not be able to find my dream job in New Mexico, I could work on creating it. So I got involved in the startup community in Boston, and I launched a company that's called Millennial Labs. And today we solve generational challenges in the workplace, the marketplace, and the voting booth for Fortune 100 companies, large-scale organizations. And it's been an interesting endeavor, but one that has brought great joy and excitement into my life. And it allows us to solve really complex problems and create solutions to help move the needle for business owners, both across the country and internationally.
Paul, I can tell you on behalf of everybody in the Notre Dame family, it's a pleasure to speak with you. You've done wonders. Appreciate your time here on Notre Dame Day.
Thank you so much for having me.